Think about the last time you heard someone mention Nostradamus. Perhaps it was a headline linking his name to a new global crisis, or an ominous YouTube video suggesting that his secular writings predicted a recent disaster. Whatever the case, Nostradamus remains one of those enigmatic figures who refuse to fall into obscurity. Could an astrologer, physician, and alleged seer of the 16th century really have glimpsed events that still baffle us today? Or are we simply adapting his enigmatic verses to real-world events? Ask two people about Nostradamus and you'll get very different opinions. One might say he's a true prophet whose predictions are always coming true, while another scoffs at the idea, insisting that his quatrains are just vague poetry. And yet we keep coming back to him. We dust off old translations and cling to phrases that might, just might, reveal something about our uncertain future. It's almost as if we're looking for a guiding voice from the past to make sense of the world's current chaos. But beware, the realm of Nostradamus is a labyrinth of incomplete manuscripts, questionable translations, and modern reinterpretations that sometimes exceed credibility. So before jumping to conclusions, let's delve a little deeper. The story you're about to discover is full of debates, rumors, and some surprising twists along the way. Michel de Nostradamus was born in 1503 at a tumultuous time when Europe was struggling with new scientific ideas, religious reforms, and the consequences of the plague. By all accounts, he was a talented physician who advocated progressive treatments for plague victims. Alongside medicine, his fascination with astrology led him to chart the skies in search of information about earthly affairs. This combination of skills turned him into a court sensation and later a legend. However, some anecdotes paint a more secret picture. Rumors suggest that he delved into forbidden texts or engaged in occult rituals to expand his prophetic vision. Others claim that he merely compiled knowledge from ancient sources and predicted events that were historically predicted to happen, such as new epidemics or wars between rival nations. Whatever the true story, Nostradamus walked the line between accepted science and occult wisdom, a balance that attracted both admirers and skeptics. It is also said that he had connections to influential figures who could have shared privileged political information. Is this how he managed to write verses that hinted at future conflicts, or was there something more mystical at play? One thing is certain. When historians try to separate myth from fact in the biography of Nostradamus, they realize that the two are almost inseparable. Among the countless statements attributed to Nostradamus, some stand out for their repeated quotations in the popular media. Some enthusiasts claim that he predicted the Great Fire of London in 1666 with remarkable accuracy, pointing to lines that mention a long fire and a great city devoured by flames. Others argue that he foresaw the rise of a charismatic leader in Europe, allegedly linking him to Napoleon or Hitler. Although the original text refers to Hister, which is believed to be an ancient name for the Danube region, the interpretative challenges multiply when we consider the polyglot nature of his writings. Nostradamus wrote in a mixture of Old French, Latin, Greek, and regional dialects, intentionally concealing his words to avoid persecution by the religious authorities. As a result, each translator has to deal with archaic phrases, puns, and enigmatic symbolism. That's why skeptics say that his verses are so open that if you try hard enough, you can connect them to almost any event. And yet people continue to find parallels. Airplanes described as flying metallic birds, bombs as great thunders, or political changes expressed in references to falling crowns. Yes, some points seem eerily relevant to modern times, but whether this is a genuine prediction or clever guesswork is a question that keeps the debate alive. Moving from the 16th century to the digital age, Nostradamus has found a second life on internet forums, social networking groups, and specialized websites. From time to time, you'll see new claims that Nostradamus predicted a major economic collapse at the beginning of the 21st century, or that he warned about a global health crisis that we've supposedly just witnessed. Some even suggest that he wrote about drastic meteorological phenomena linked to climate change, although the language of the quatrains rarely mentions details such as carbon emissions or rising global temperatures. In the midst of these modern debates, a handful of self-proclaimed experts argue that the great conflicts looming on the horizon have been spelled out in cryptic lines that refer to two brothers separated or eagles clashing. These metaphors turn into theories about world superpowers, alliances, or even secret societies. This whirlwind of speculation intensifies whenever a new world event hits the headlines, prompting devotees of Nostradamus to scour his texts in search of corresponding images. But who decides which interpretative path is valid? Some groups claim to have discovered previously unknown volumes attributed to Nostradamus, claiming that these manuscripts were hidden by cautious relatives or the church to avoid mass panic. Others resort to advanced text analysis software to extract patterns from the French original. Creativity is not lacking, but the question remains, are these revelations based on historical evidence, or are they just delusions? No modern discussion of Nostradamus is complete without touching on the controversial work of Dolores Cannon. Cannon believed she had made contact with the spirit of Nostradamus through deep hypnosis sessions at the end of the 20th century. She wrote several books about these alleged conversations, claiming that he wished to correct misinterpretations of his work and warn humanity of impending challenges. Naturally, such claims invite skepticism. Critics point out that it is impossible to verify the authenticity of channeling sessions. They argue that it may be a product of the subject's imagination, shaped by pre-existing knowledge of the Nostradamus legend. However, Cannon has amassed a devoted following, many of whom insist that his revelations align with cryptic phrases scattered throughout the original quatrains. Nor is this an isolated phenomenon. Other authors and researchers have attempted similarly daring projects using everything from numerology to scrying techniques to connect with Nostradamus's energy. Whether these efforts are misguided or are actually capable of obtaining otherworldly information, one thing is certain: they highlight the continuing fascination with a man who, centuries later, still seems to be reaching into the past. The cultural weight of Nostradamus goes beyond casual curiosity. Some theorists suggest that certain powerful groups use his name to instill fear or obedience in the population. By invoking an impending apocalypse derived from Nostradamus's verses, they can steer public opinion or divert attention from real-world issues. It's a dramatic notion, reminiscent of countless doomsday cults throughout history, but one that resonates with people who always see hidden agendas. Pop culture also plays an important role in fostering the Nostradamus craze. Numerous documentaries, TV specials, and YouTube channels repeat the same quatrains whenever something big happens: terrorist attacks, major earthquakes, or pandemics. This repetition normalizes the idea that Nostradamus is an almost perfect prophet, even if many of these interpretations overlook confusing historical details. Whether or not there is a grand conspiracy, it is impossible to deny Nostradamus's unique place in our collective psyche. Although many prophets and seers have come and gone, few remain so rooted in popular tradition. It's as if we needed a figure to personify our anxieties about the future, and Nostradamus, with his enigmatic, sometimes haunting lines, fills that place perfectly. Behind the predictions that grab the headlines are lesser-known parts of Nostradamus's life story that can shed light on his motivations. He lost close family members to the plague, which probably fueled his determination to study medicine more intensely. Witnessing the fragility of life during such a brutal pandemic could have increased his desire to gather information from the stars or any other tool that could offer guidance in dark times. Then there is the question of his relations with various religious groups. Although nominally Catholic, Nostradamus descended from a Jewish family forced to convert generations earlier. Some accounts suggest that he maintained a private reverence for Jewish traditions, which may explain certain biblical references woven into his quatrains. During a time of severe inquisitorial scrutiny, being too open about such sympathies could have put him in danger. In addition, scholars debate whether Nostradamus dabbled in alchemy. Although direct evidence is scarce, it would not be surprising, given the common practice of his time, to mix science, mysticism, and philosophical pursuits. If he did indeed explore alchemical principles, perhaps this helped shape his symbolic language, feeding both the convictions of his supporters and the doubts of his critics. The more we delve into Nostradamus's predictions, the more we come up against a fundamental question. Are these writings a genuine warning from someone with extraordinary foresight, or are they just coincidences shaped by subjective interpretation? In times of crisis, many people turn to prophecy to reassure or explain themselves. If Nostradamus apparently foresaw everything, we feel less surprised by the tragedy. On the other hand, some warn that constant reference to Nostradamus can distract us from proactive solutions. If we resign ourselves to the notion that everything is predestined, where is the motivation to change course? Environmental collapse, social unrest, and global pandemics may, in this mindset, seem inevitable. However, ironically, if the words of Nostradamus inspire people to take preventative action, they may become an unlikely catalyst for positive action. In a way, Nostradamus acts as a cultural Rorschach test. We project our hopes, fears, and suspicions onto his secular verses, reinforcing the worldview we already have. So the real power may not lie in the text itself, but in how we interpret and apply it in our modern context. After so much exploration, what is our opinion of Nostradamus? He remains an enigma shrouded in mystique, part historical figure, part mythical prophet. His defenders see him as a sage, warning humanity of plagues, wars, and changes of empires. His detractors see him as an intelligent writer whose ambiguous poetry can be transformed into countless scenarios. Regardless of his position, the endurance of his reputation bears witness to our eternal curiosity about destiny. We want to know if the storms of tomorrow can be glimpsed in the scribbles of yesterday, and maybe, just maybe. We crave the thrill of believing that fate is more than chance. Nostradamus' legacy persists because it poses a timeless question. Are we masters of our destiny or passive actors in a great cosmic script? There is no single answer that will satisfy everyone, but that's precisely why Nostradamus' name keeps cropping up in conversations about the world's uncertainties. Each new crisis offers a new lens through which to interpret his words. Every new secret court released sparks excited conversations about what might come next. Whether it's smoke and mirrors or a veritable beacon from the past, Nostradamus' presence endures, echoing down the centuries. In the end, perhaps his greatest prophecy was about our own fascination with the unknown. Instead of focusing only on external doom, we can see these ancient verses as a catalyst for introspection. Do we take action to shape our collective future or dwell on cataclysmic predictions? The choice is ours, and that simple fact may be more profound than any enigmatic line he ever wrote.